Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Inside the Birds TV with Adam Kaplan and Jeff Mosher, presented, of course, by DraftKings Sportsbook. And it's kind of becoming like an annual rite of passage, I guess, every year, every August or July, August, we get closer to training camp. And Adam and I like to get into the offensive line and what's going on there. So we always bring in friend of the program, former Eagles offensive lineman, and one of the stars of Tales from the Blind Side, one of our shows that we had on the Inside the Birds platform, which perhaps we'll get into. Maybe we can bring back, reprise in some form or fashion. But always thankful to be joined by the man, the myth, the Todd father, Todd Herremans. How you doing, Todd?
I'm doing well. Thank you for such a generous intro. It's
Well,
good to be here with you guys.
No, thanks for having you on. And you always join us pretty much every year, sometimes 2 or 3 times. You've done events with us. We're very appreciative. This is going to be a little bit new for us, right? Because usually when you're on, the first topic of discussion is Jason Peters. And you've made kind of no bones in the past about how everything you say about Jason is going to be all love and all positivity. But we get straight down the middle talk from Todd Herremans now, because there's this big battle to replace Jason Peters, right? You've got Andre Dillard. You've got Jordan Mailata. You've seen them both. So I'm going to ask you to start this off, Todd, to kind of put your Jeff Stoutland hat on. Right. And if you were the coach here, seeing what you've seen so far from these guys, when you start this competition in camp, do you start it with clean slate for everybody, or in your mind, do you think you have a leader and a guy who's got to win the job, whereas the other person may have to lose it?
Well, I think just out of their what they've seen on the field, out of their performance and stuff, to me, I think you would have to give Mailata the edge, because I feel like when he was out there, he basically let everybody know, like, oh, okay, Jordan can play left tackle. He can protect. This could be he could be our left tackle of the future. And Dillard was kind of, I don't know if he made everybody feel so comfortable about that while he was out there. He's returning off of some time off. He was out with an injury, I believe, right? And now there's just going to be the battle. I can't imagine why Jordan wouldn't have a slight edge. Just even if you're trying to be as unbiased as possible, there has to be some tendency to lean toward Jordan. I feel like he showed us more in the games than Andre had at this point.
So Todd, as a guy that experienced a coaching change, we had Chip Kelly in, Andy Reid out in 2013. Yes, and obviously you also went through an offensive line coaching change. Juan Castillo was long gone. We had Jeff Stoutland, who's still here, still doing a very good job. As a veteran, though, in 13 when Chip came in, was there any kind of curiosity about how the offense would be? Because now we have one with Nick Sirianni. So was there a curiosity for you about if your role would change?
Yeah, of course there was. Whenever a new coach comes in with a new system, you wonder if you're ideal for that system. I know that I was like, man, I don't know. Is Chip even going to want me here, for this type of a fast-paced offense? I didn't know if that was really, if I was his ideal, thought. I didn't know how much thought they put into it, of what type of lineman they want, or if that, it works for any type of personnel. But so, the thought is there. But I just think, you go out and you're a football player, and if you consider yourself a football player, you're not necessarily a passing football player or a running football player. You got to be able to do both, because they're both in the game. So, I think the appeal to, you just need to be able to adapt no matter what style is in there.
I wanted to ask you about the mentality of an offensive lineman. First, I want to remind everyone to download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use the promo code ITB. You can turn $1 into $100 in free site credits. That's using the promo code ITB on DraftKings Sportsbook app. Todd, Andre Dillard has talked a lot this offseason, and he's had some really good, candid Zoom discussions with the media about understanding what's at stake, being mentally tougher, being physically tougher, working on all parts of his just toughness, because he knows that he came into the league and after his first year, people question that about him. So as an offensive lineman, and you were always known for being that gritty, tough lineman, I guess this is we all know people can improve from a skill standpoint, but this seems to be like can a zebra change his stripes kind of question. Like, do you believe a guy can get mentally tougher and nastier if he wasn't really built that way to begin with?
Wow. Yeah, I think that's really tough to do at this point. It's like if you're gonna say, okay, I'm gonna be tougher this year, then why weren't you tougher last year? Like
Mm-hmm.
it's either who you are or who you aren't. So, maybe he's just mislabeled. I'm not saying that he's not tough enough to play in the NFL or anything like that, but I just think it's weird, coming to the media and being like, yeah, I'm tougher this year. I've been working a lot on it and stuff. It's just, I've never seen that like be a positive thing of people heading in the right direction.
We talked to you about this last year because you were the perfect guy to do this. You changed positions. You went from tackle to guard. And then you were asked to put your weight up, take it down. So Dillard has put on weight over the last year, which is what they wanted to do. But as a former lineman, is there a concern sometimes when because if you played a certain weight most of your career, then they ask you to go up or down significantly, did that impact your play when you were asked to do that with the Eagles?
Yeah. I found it harder to, get up to linebacker level and stuff, the heavier I was. It was just something that I could notice. You just feel quicker when you're like, I mean, there are guys that can move, when they're heavy. Personally, for myself, though, I just felt I could feel the limitations of being heavier versus lighter. Mostly when trying to get to like second level for linebackers and stuff. I never really felt the negative of being lighter versus heavier against like a bull rush, because I feel like that's more about just getting down, getting leverage, and being able to get in a good position. If they're under you no matter how heavy you are. So I would think like, if it's good muscle he's putting on, good, because generally if you're putting on muscle and you're doing it while you're working on sprinting and stuff, then you're going to develop the speed along with the weight. When I got fat personally, it wasn't a beneficial weight that was helping me run faster. So it was like I was dragging something with me. So it affected me poorly. But hey, if he put on good weight and he's going to come out here and just maul people, then I think that's awesome.
So what would be your thought process on a guy like Brandon Brooks in that regard, who I don't know if he weighs any differently now than a year or two or three, but his body is completely transformed from what, our stereotypical view of the big pudgy lineman to like an Adonis almost. Is that
right?
What do you think of when you see that?
I'm just impressed. I think that's awesome that he has the willpower and the focus to be able to do that, because, obviously he was very successful already, but it's just the constant drive and want to improve his game and stuff, and be the best possible football player that he can be. And also maybe realizing that, along the way, maybe the extra weight could negatively affect you, injury wise and stuff like that. So I've always looked at that as Brandon Brooks is a beast before, and he just looks like someone that I don't even want to play against now. It's like the opposing Aaron Donald of the offensive line. He's out showing off a six-pack now. It's kind of crazy. But no, I think that's awesome. And I think guys are realizing that, you can play however you want. You can be effective like as a big, hefty, round guy, or you can chisel down and be just as effective, as a technician that's muscled out. Personally, I just, kind of teetered right around average of both of those categories.
So Todd, you played with two of these guys here of the five starters, Kelsey and Lane Johnson, Brandon Brooks, as we just mentioned. They got three guys now in their 30s, right, who were projected to start. Do you recall at the point where your skills sort of regress a little bit, late 20s, early 30s? Was it just injuries? Like in your career, was there a certain point in your career you go, okay, I don't think I'm quite where I was once in my career?
Probably when it was over.
Oh, okay. All right.
I think it's a certain mindset that you have to have. It's hard to be completely real with yourself and also be successful. There has to be a little bit of I don't know, almost like you're tricking yourself into thinking you're better than you are, so that because there's a little bit of bravado that also comes with it, and that's kind of the drive that gets people to this level is just the confidence and stuff. So when the first time in your career when somebody's going to tell you like, I think you're starting to slip, you're going to tell them no way. And maybe in your most alone moments you have that realization, but then you like shake it off real quick, and because you don't want to spend much time in that headspace, while you're playing. So
Sure,
yeah,
sure.
I mean, I realized when I was done playing, like I can see where my skills started to digress. Um, but I definitely didn't even have an inkling at the moment of when that was happening.
I imagine that's a difficult soul search to have right there when you hang it up and say, yeah, I'm not the guy that I am anymore. And that's interesting because it's more than one guy in the offensive line that's probably had that conversation with himself over the last few years. So we'll get into that a little bit. First, I want to tell everybody to stop paying full retail price for things you want and need. Just get on Deal Dash. Go to the DealDash.com or get the Deal Dash app. Use the promo code ITB and start bidding with some free bids, free bonus bids using promo code ITB on Deal Dash. I mean, first of all, you played about a decade in the league, so you can't say you were average at either, but you were pretty good. I mean, it's hard to play that long in the NFL. All right, you don't have to make 3 Pro Bowls to be very good or 4 Pro Bowls, right? I mean, you got
Hey,
to.
jack of all, master of none.
There you go. there's that. Hey, man, there's room for that in the NFL. Um,
Exactly.
But Jason Kelsey, Brandon Brooks, and we talk of Lane Johnson as if he's kind of in between. He's not young, he's not old, but he has had injuries, and it just boggles my mind that when we talk about those 3 guys, they were all part of the Super Bowl team and before the Super Bowl team.
Yeah.
I mean, they were all Chip Kelly several years removed from the Super Bowl. So
Right.
I wonder how much these 3 guys we talk about, center, right guard, right tackle, seeing all the injuries and the, I don't want to say decline, just injuries for the last few years, you wonder. We had this conversation about Jason Peters. When you start to see the decline, I feel like it becomes a little bit more magnified because the age is always in the back of everybody's mind. But do you feel like Kelsey probably has that conversation with himself every offseason? Like, can I still do this at a high level?
Yeah, I don't know if I think Kelsey knows that he can still do it at a high level. I think that he just has a real conversation with him every year if it's what he wants to do. You know what I mean?
Right.
Is I think that Kelsey's role on the team, I feel like, is so much more than just a lineman. You know what I mean? He's like a heartbeat of the city, like a leader of the locker room. Like the coaches all look up to him. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's a lot of responsibility to have, and I think that Jason is just very realistic with himself every offseason, and is honest with the fans and stuff, and it just really checks to see if he wants to do it again, and he wants to, and I think that that's exciting for the city to have somebody like that on the team and wanting to do it again.
Yeah.
So
How much real quick do you think that extra game, that 17th game, now factors into someone's mindset? I mean, I know it's like, can I make it through 16? But now you got to think, can I do it through 17 and
Well,
perhaps more?
here's the thing. I mean, every year everybody wants to play 17 games and nobody wants to play 4 preseason games. So I mean, I think the big 10,000-foot look at it looks better. I don't losing a preseason game, I think, bodes well for the veterans. I think that they appreciate that, and then an extra game of the regular season, I don't really think it's that big of a deal, because everybody wants to be playing that many games, if you're lucky.
Good point.
So yeah, I don't think that weighs into it too much.
So, Todd, let's get into, if you could recall in '05, when you were a rookie, you were a 4th-round pick, not come from the power program, Saginaw State, but we got Dickerson, who's the 2nd rounder, but he was the 2nd rounder due to injury, but he may wind up playing this season. Who knows when he's ready to go? What's the rookie's mindset to get ready to be able to play? Because let us know here. Did Andy tell you, or did Juan Castillo tell you, listen, man, get ready to play early on? How did they treat you as a rookie?
They treated me like they wanted. Well, yeah, I was kind of thrown in the fire because Trey was, not super healthy. His back, he was going through all the issues with his back and his blood clots and stuff. So I kind of he was taking time off during training camp, so I was immediately thrown in there at left tackle during training camp. I mean, they had Artis taking reps at left tackle, but I think they actually wanted him to end up starting at guard, so they moved him inside and had me taking the reps to give Trey rest and have him playing left guard. So, dude, I felt like they were accelerating me as soon as I got there, but it was kind of like there was me and I think Calvin Armstrong was another tackle, and they both just kind of had us seeing one of us they had in mind of like, was going to be this guy that's going to step up. And they gave us both, I think, equal opportunities. And, I ended up shaking out and sticking to the wall longer, I guess. But yeah, I think that Landon, his whole thing is going to be more about whether he's healthy, right? I mean, he's coming off an injury, and I talked to him. He seems like a pretty reasonable kid and smart. Like he's not going to trying to push it to get out there. He knows that, it's different than college. But I think that, playing a big time program like he was and stuff, it's not going to be that big of an adjustment playing in the NFL. And as long as he's getting all this classroom stuff, he seems like the type of kid that, likes contact, isn't going to shy away from that kind of stuff, isn't going to get, rattled or scared when he gets put out into the game. So that's not really something that I worry about with him. It's just, soaking up everything he can while he's not practicing is probably where he needs to be at.
With Dickerson, let's look a year or two down the road, and let's assume that he's healthy and he is what he's supposed to be. Do you feel like if you were, again, put your Jeff Stoutland hat on, it's more beneficial to the line to have him play center or have him play left guard and move Isaac Seumalo to center with Jason Kelsey at this point, moving on?
Right. So I was thinking about this, and from what I hear, Stoutland really likes Isaac at center. I haven't really talked to Stout too much about it, but from what I hear, Isaac is very sharp and maybe not as outspoken as they would like a center to be, as loud or something, but that's because he hasn't been, put in that role as the man yet, maybe. But, I think that either one could be a solid option. Getting Dickerson, is it Dickerson or Dickinson?
Dickerson.
Yeah, Dickerson.
Dickerson, getting him in there and getting those snaps, and if he can handle it right now, might be a great move for the future moving forward, because, revolving a center isn't something you constantly want to be doing. You want to have a pretty good centerpiece moving forward to build around, because like you said, Brandon's going to be up in a few years. He looks like he could play forever right now, but we know how Father Time will get anyway. And, Lane also looks like he's in killer shape right now, running through the woods without his shirt on and stuff. But, that stuff goes quick. So it'd be good to get somebody young and fresh, in a couple of years that'll be there for a while to help move forward.
Getting back to what we talked about earlier, when you go from Andy Reid, who we know is pretty pass happy, then Chip Kelly was more committed to the run than Andy was. Is there a mindset as an offensive lineman, not just getting yourself in shape, but okay, mentally, it's just like, do you approach it differently when you know you're going to be more of a pass offense than a run offense?
No. I mean, I always just tried to get in the best shape I could in the off season. Younger in my career, I think my second year when they moved me to guard, I thought I had to get like really heavy, and so I just gained a bunch of weight. Just being young and naive, and Juan always saying, "Hey, mass kicks ass." Just having that like ringing in my head all the time, thinking that I just had to be really big. But then, like, just as you get through it, you see other people doing things, and then you find out that there's other ways to skin a cat.
It's great. I think like the common person like listens to that and thinks, for some, I think they think it's a dream come true to just be able to eat like steak and beef and things and add weight and not be judged by the rest of society because it's part of your job. But it's got to actually be pretty difficult to constantly be fluctuating in weight and then having to carry, as you were saying, more than maybe you were accustomed to carrying. That can't be easy.
Well, I tend to carry it right above the belt line, so The white jerseys were not a very good friend of mine in the heftier years.
Black jerseys
But
were tight though,
yeah,
right?
the black jerseys were nice and slimming. You find tricks to make it work.
Sure, sure. I want to ask you one more thing, going back to our left tackle discussion, and just about your mentality. Because while you were talking and I asked you that question, I thought about Winston Justice, who's a guy
Yep.
who struggled early in his year. Was a high pick, second round pick. He definitely was a guy who you can describe as timid, or didn't exude that nastiness that you normally see from a lineman. Struggled with the Sunday night game. But he did come back, and he won the right tackle job maybe a year or two later. And before he got hurt, he held it down, I guess. Do you remember seeing any kind of change in Winston from that standpoint once he got a little confidence in him that it was there, or was it just better that he was on the right side and
I
kind of
think
away
that,
from the spotlight?
yeah, I think, you know what, with Winston, I think that was more like a realization that, maybe I am a right tackle. It was always about, I feel like a lot of it was about being the blind side, being the left tackle, and like being a high draft pick. So you have to be the left tackle. And I just feel like maybe he fell victim to that, not because of him, but just because where he was picked, we kind of felt like we had to play him at left tackle and he was going to take over and then we wouldn't have to worry about that. I think that we've done better with Lane in that aspect and not trying. Some people are just right-sided, like some people don't want to go play on the left, and even if they want to, they just can't. It's hard. It's a hard transition, and I think that I always wondered, like, what if Winston was never asked to go play on the left side? If he could have came in and been comfortable over there and just been a dominant right tackle for 10 years, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I really think that plays into it, and sometimes I forget what the first question was, but it was just about Winston. Like, was he? Oh, because people thought he was kind of soft and timid.
Yeah,
right?
they thought he was timid, and I wondered if when he finally found his home
I
at
think-
right, did you see the confidence come out in him?
I don't think he was timid. I think he was just uncomfortable. You know what I mean? And I think that can come across through a freaking big screen TV or a jumbotron or anything in a lot of different ways. But I just think he was uncomfortable over there, and also having to portray this sense of confidence to the media after every game, like, nah, everything's great. I'm a left tackle. I can do it. Why not?
Right.
That's hard to do. So, that was a tough spot for Winston to be in. So I don't think that he was soft like that necessarily. I think, yeah, he was a quiet guy and he was introspective, but I think he was uncomfortable on the field playing left more than anything.
One more thing I wanted to add, because if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty certain you told us this last summer. Did you not play 4 offensive line positions other than center, obviously? Did you play all 4 with the Eagles?
Yeah.
How did you do mentally? How in the world were you able to do that and function at high levels? It's just you don't think about it, you just go do it, or do you study more tape? How did you get ready to make all those changes over your career?
Like I said, I never mastered one position, so it was easier for me to break those habits. Well, shit, I couldn't move back to left guard after I moved in there because they brought Evan in, and so like if I couldn't play another position, then I was gonna probably be shipped out of there. So you get in where you fit in, I guess.
Well, you did that really well for about how many years was it? Was it 9 or 10?
We did 10 in Philly.
Yeah, 10 in Philly, and then a little bit of a year there with the Indianapolis Colts. You and Todd and
I had a few
Trent.
games.
Yeah, there you go. You and Trent Cole.
Yeah, PC.
Awesome. Well, Todd, we look forward to talking to you again down the road. Now, we get asked every once in a while, more than once in a while, we get asked, what's the deal with Tales from the Blind Side? Is that going to be coming back for the year? And we always say, well, it's up to Todd, Trey, and Jamal. So are there discussions in the works here?
Well, I'd have to get in, talk with my team, and we'll get into the negotiations.
Okay, your people will call our people.
Yeah,
I got you.
Our people will call your people.
Gotcha.
I'd love to, guys. I had a blast doing it, but there is no I in team, so I got to talk to my guys. You know what I mean?
Gotcha. Well, let's have those conversations because the people love the show. We need some offense. You guys are letting Quentin Michael and Jason Avant steal the spotlight now. We need to go back to some offensive line talk.
It's such a catchy name.
Q&A.
Catchy name.
That was Adam. That was an Adam Kaplan special right there.
Yeah.
We were all like, "What are we going to name this show?" And Adam goes, "How about Q&A?" Bing, done. It was great.
That's perfect,
all right, so maybe Tales from the Blind Side will reprise itself coming up shortly. We'll have to be in touch. That would be great.
Awesome.
That would be great. Go see our friends at Sky Motor Cars in Westchester, skymotorcars.com. They are paying the most right now. If you're looking to trade in a vehicle, if you go in, tell them Adam and Jeff sent you. That's skymotorcars.com. Want to thank Todd, the Todd father, Herremans, once again, former Eagles offensive lineman, star of Tales from the Blind Side, which may hopefully be coming back soon, and a big friend of the program. Thanks, Todd. Have a great rest of your summer, and we'll catch you up with you again soon.
No problem, guys. Thanks for having me.
You got it.